In this exercise we'll create a basic room. I'm going to import a plan that I already have from a drawing. So this one's an Illustrator 8 file which just merges in. I then need to rotate, and I can just trim it up to 90 degrees, press apply in the rotation dialog. I'm then just going to put it down onto the ground plane. So it's there roughly at 0. Okay, we're going to use this for a couple of things: the walls, the floor and the ceiling. So I need to copy and paste. So there's 2. So first off we'll just do a straight extrude and drop the plan into the extrude, and this will create the floor and the ceiling. So at the moment it's extruding along the floor itself, along the flat plane, which is the z-axis. So we just need to give it some thickness and the movement in the middle one, which is up on the y-axis. Okay, and we'll call that the floor. So on this one I'm just going to create an outline. Now that just offsets the whole line, so that structure, edit spline, create outline, and distance, we'll just make that 10mm. So this doesn't really have a scale. And you can see it's created 2 lines. So what that'll do is give our walls a thickness rather than it being a solid block. So drop that into another extrude. And give it some height. And you can see the basis of the walls starting to be created. So I'm just going to select the floor, do a copy and paste. So I'm actually copy and pasting the whole thing, the line and the extrude command, to make a ceiling. So I'll move this up, and I'll also just show you how you can turn off the visibility of objects in the list. So I'll name that walls and that one ceiling. So by pressing the mouse on the green tick and going between that and the red cross, you can see how the visibility is turned on and off. Okay, I now want to add some windows, so just going to use cubes to subtract, or bool. So just moving them up into position. And the right size. Obviously you could type in the exact size. And just do a copy and paste, so we get 2. Now because we're going to be subtracting them, we need to make them like one object. So I'll just give them, the cubes themselves, a name. And select the bool, subtract. Okay, so drop one into the other, you can press it down, and then you can see with that plus it means there's an object within it. So to the left hand side you have the plus and the minus to expand and contract. So we need to put the walls and the 2 objects in. That's the wrong way around, or the wrong order. So putting the walls at the top and the window at the bottom, and you can see that that subtracts the 2 boxes from the extruded line which we created the walls out of. So just one more box which we will use for a door. Now what this allows us to do is again create an aperture, but we can just go straight into the same ball by dropping it into the other window. So you can see those 3 cubes just take on the properties of one object and rename that the walls complete. Okay, so now we'll just turn the visibility back on of the ceiling, drop that down into place, and we'll add a plane for the floor and just resize that plane using the arrow just to the right of the dimensions. I'll just reposition it using the arrows. Okay, I'm going to take an internal view of this space now, and we'll just do a quick set of rendering for it, just to set up the lighting really. Okay, so add a camera in the scene. We'll use this later on. And a couple of lights. So moving them up and across, and changing the shadows to area and cube. So it's a box, so you can see in the front view there's the box, and we'll just do a copy and paste, and front view, paste, move it over. So we now have two light sources, and take their brightness down a little. We're then going to go to the render dialog setting and turn on the global illumination. So render settings, global illumination on, close that box, and let's see how that looks. Okay, it's very dark. The reason for this is because the background is dark, and it's using that in the global illumination calculation, which isn't really bouncing a lot of light around. So what we'll do is add a sky, and this will make it a lot brighter. As you can see already, that light bounces around the scene and makes the whole thing a lot lighter and atmospheric. Okay, so if we just take an external view now, we'll do a render from there as well. You'll notice when the rendering, depending on how many lights or how many different shadowing effects you've got, it will vary in time. So this is a fairly quick render. So there's a basic space with a fairly simple rendering with no materials.